Howdy again everyone. I really like prime lenses designed for aps-c cameras, and it's particularly nice to see Nikon working on their aps-c or DX range of new Z mount lenses. As an aside, I wish Canon would catch up and do the same. Anyway, here is the new Nikon Z DX 24mm f1.7. Nice parameters here, a small lens with a wide angle and bright aperture for shooting in darker situations and getting more out of focus backgrounds. It also has a nice close focusing ability. We'll take a look at that in a few minutes. The lens costs less than $300 and under £300 here in the UK, so that's potentially good value for money, and I'd like to thank Nikon UK very much for loaning me this lens for a couple of weeks for testing, although as always this is a totally independent review. I'll be testing this lens on my Nikon Z7 camera in crop mode, which offers a 20 megapixel DX image, which is pretty much the same resolution as the best Nikon Z mount DX cameras available at the time of writing. Let's look at its build quality first. I wouldn't call this thing a pancake lens, but it is at least lovely and small and lightweight. Less impressive is that it's based on a plastic lens mount without any weather sealing. The lens's only control point is a large, rubberized, smoothly turning manual focus ring. The front of the lens does not extend as you change focus. The way that focus ring responded to the lens's motor was a bit awkward for me, going a bit slowly but then speeding up suddenly depending on how quickly you turn it. Perhaps using a newer Nikon camera would get you better results. As you can see here, the lens shows considerable breathing as you focus in and out. The autofocus motor, however, is quick enough for most users and accurate too. It generates just a quiet whirring sound. The lens has a 46mm filter thread size and comes with an unusually shaped plastic cap. It does not feature image stabilization. Overall, this is an incredibly simple little lens that works nicely enough. So let's look at its image quality. As I mentioned before, I'll be testing this lens on my Nikon Z7 in crop mode, which offers a 20 megapixel DX image. At the time of writing, that's the highest resolution Nikon offer on Z mount DX sensors. At f1.7, sharpness is very good in the middle of the image, but not excellent. The corner image quality is a fair bit softer. Let's stop down to f2.8. The corners look much better now, but still not perfect. However, the middle of the image is now razor sharp. The lens stays this sharp in the middle at f4, and the corners look great now, although just a touch of colour fringing is visible if you look closely enough. The lens stays this sharp down to f11. I'll show you results at f16, but interestingly, the lens doesn't stop down that far, only down to f11. I never shoot at f16 myself, but it can still be useful in an emergency. Anyway, the lens is giving just an average performance here. I do wish it was a bit sharper at its brightest apertures, but at least contrast is always good, leaving your images looking quite punchy. Alright, let's bypass automatic corrections by shooting in RAW and take a look at distortion and vignetting. The lens projects quite some pincushion distortion here, and at f1.7, plenty of darkness in the image corners. There's not much difference at f2, but at f2.8 and f4, that vignetting begins to clear up. So this is definitely a lens intended for use with automatic corrections. The lens's minimum focus distance is a lovely 18 centimeters, getting you really close to smaller subjects. At f1.7, image quality is fairly sharp, but also pretty hazy, with contrast bottoming out. f2 looks better, but f2.8 looks absolutely fantastic, so do bear that in mind when shooting up close. Let's see how the lens performs against bright lights now. Flaring artifacts are very low, but we do see a bit of haziness emerging here, a bit of lower contrast. And while we're working in the dark, let's see about coma levels. At f1.7, we do see some gentle coma wings on bright points of light in the corners of your images with a bit of a purple halo. It's reduced at f2 and basically gone at f2.8. If you want to catch some sun stars, then you'll need to stop down to f8, or even better, f11, and they get pretty nice and strong. Okay, let's look at bokeh now. These aren't the very smoothest out of focus backgrounds I've ever seen, but they do generally look good and non-distracting. There aren't any obvious problems here. and related to bokeh comes longitudinal chromatic aberration. At f1.7 it's pretty noticeable, at f2 it's reduced, and at f2.8 it's virtually gone. Overall, well, the lens gets a B in terms of image quality, but in terms of usefulness and value for money, it's an A. It'll be a nice companion for shooters on Nikon Z mount DX cameras, just don't expect miracles out of it, but for under $300 US, it does come recommended. Thanks for watching everyone. There's something about testing Nikon Z mount lenses that I really enjoy. Perhaps it's because for years on this channel I focused solely on Canon, and Nikon lenses and cameras turned out to be such a nice surprise when I finally got round to them. Anyway, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters who are making such a big difference to me putting these videos out. Your support is invaluable. Check it out in the description below. Patreon supporters get all kinds of exclusive bonus content. Ciao for now, everyone.